Heather and Lou have been creating together for over a decade with the higher energies, including the galactic, bringing cutting-edge information, tools and wisdom to assist the awakening community to stay awake and evolve beyond the smoke and mirrors info into the self-empowered ultimate spiritual beings that we truly are. Louise is a trance channel communicator and Heather is her grounder. Both have a history of connection with ETs, other dimensional energies and other phenomena, and have been on profound journeys of successful healing through their addiction, depression, autoimmune issues and baggage that needs addressing. So please make welcome Heather and Louise. Please go.
Heather, and let's rip into it. We've got a stunning topic tonight. Do you want to do that part?
Yep, so we are basically talking about a subject that basically everybody knows about or has heard about: spiritual empowerment and spiritual bypassing.
Did you click that?
I didn't, because it's automatic.
Oh, we have to be quick. Rightio. So what is spiritual empowerment? This is the definition from the dictionary. So have a look and see if anything resonates there. To be considered unearthly, divine, celestial, subtle, unaltered, revered, blessed of the light, undisturbed, unsustained, unstained, unsullied. Does that sound like everybody here?
Yeah. And of course, one of my favourite was when they sort of give us the dictionary definition of empowerment is to invest power, to give somebody legal power or official authority, to equip or supply the ability to enable, to emancipate, to enfranchise, to free as from bondage, to endow citizenship, or ladies, the right to vote. Now, I do have issue with some of these things, but I will get into that a little bit later on. Okay. All right.
So what is this key to spiritual empowerment? Well, there's several keys, and we're just inviting you to come on a journey with us, because this is from our perspective, our knowing, with us and the team that we work with, okay, to get you thinking and asking yourself questions. Internal recognition of self, honouring of original sovereignty of origin, admitting to the divine connection of balance, inner gyro, intuition.
And you've also got the integration of the full I am essence. And that in itself is a whole mouthful, a whole meal to take.
Let's face it, the I am has been bandied around forever, but what truly is it in its fullest essence? What is the I am? Essence of truth.
And then we stand in resonance with the vibration of awareness within the divine. And Gaia is wrapped up in that as well, because in my opinion, Gaia is part of the divine, a huge part of that. And then the honor of self.
The honor of self. So within the divine, though, with Gaia, we're talking about the Schumann resonance.
We are indeed.
We're talking about connecting with Gaia and connecting with the Schumann resonance, whether by default, just because that's what we do and we know that's true, whether or not we know what the Schumann resonance is, does not matter. But those of you that are maybe technically aware of that will know the fluctuations we've been experiencing over the last few months and particularly the last few years. And the thing is, if we are connecting truly with Gaia, then we are in a place of expansion. And if we allow that expansion to fully be part of our physical, mental, emotional growth, then we're on track. But if we deny it, we are blocking, indeed, our own experience of expansion and our own experience of growth. And there are a lot of people that are putting it on hold. We see at the moment because of fears, because it's tough, it's challenging, it takes a lot of heart and a lot of guts to go in and to integrate and to clear and to assist self in the honouring of self.
And so when you look at all of that and you go into, looking at the origin of the sovereignty, your original sovereign origin, Many of us have been told, whether through readings or through different connections that we've got, that you're from this planet, you're from this star system, you come from these people, that people, etc., etc. But what resonates within you? I remember a time where I was told I was Lyran, that I came from the Lyran community, that I had this and that gifting from it, and I went, huh? Who that? What do you mean? And I put it on the back burner because it didn't resonate. I wasn't ready to know all that yet. But as I've gone on in life, I've started to go in and I've started to realize that in honoring who I am, first and foremost, as Louise, as a living human, as somebody who is awake, who is conscious, the rest of that sovereignty of my origin has come into play, and suddenly I begin to realize that my empowerment is birthed out of my acknowledgement of who and what I am.
So the question to you is, are you aware of your origins of beingness? Do you know, in your knowing of knowing, what that is for you, what that means to you, without having it been told to you from somebody else's perspective?
Absolutely. And what about the fullness of the I am essence? Do you want to answer that one, sweetheart?
That's a multi-layered question. The I am that I am that I am, bandied around for many a time. Our friend Saint Germain, the Adamus Saint Germain energy, first introduced that as a modern day teaching, and I say modern, really it's only a few hundred years old since he graced the planet, but in actual fact the I am, or the domain of the I am, and the essence of truth is much fuller and much more extensive than what we've been led to believe or what we think the I am is. That's been our understanding and our knowing.
And with her saying that, I want you to realize that what we're sharing today is our learning. What we're sharing today is our truth. But we found that it works for us, that it resonates with us, and when we've shared it with other people, it's resonated with them too. And that's why we've sort of brought this forward.
So obviously take what resonates and release the rest. But if you do get triggered during our event for any particular reason, then we also invite you to have a look and see what has been stirred up within you. Maybe there's some resistance for yourself.
So the big question, empowerment. Do we have the right to empower others, or
is that something that occurs organically? Obviously, I missed my cue card there, trying to but I'll get you back.
All right, I think you will. So the reason I said earlier on that I have an issue with the way that the dictionary defines empowerment is because by looking at all of their definitions, that somebody gives me the right to do something, somebody empowers me to do something, to emancipate me, means that somewhere along the line I've laced that I'm underfoot, that I'm tied up, I'm bonded into something. But as a living being, as somebody who is born in the originality of who I am, with the DNA that is within me, as a live living being, nobody has the right to tell me what I can and cannot do, because I am an organic human being.
Excuse me, ma'am, can I shoot this thought?
Yes, you may now continue.
So, removal of illegal interference. What the heck are we talking about here? So, what energy, conscious thoughts or beliefs have been embedded into your psyche without your awareness? Where did your belief systems originate from? Are you guru-driven or self-driven? What extreme beliefs do you have regarding social issues, diet, religion, cults, both in and out of the light worker communities? And what alien teachings or beliefs have you adopted as true before proving them? So these are questions we invite you to ask yourself.
And these are questions we've asked ourselves. These are questions that I've asked myself. And I just love the extreme belief one because I was going to be a preacher. I was a full-blown charismatic Christian, born again. Hallelujah! And if you put anything in front of me that was not accordance to what I was learning in that Bible, my extreme belief system blocked me from seeing you, blocked me from hearing you. And all I can say is thank God, thank the divine, whatever you want to label it, that I'm out of that now.
And so the alien teachings, you know, I mean, that's a good one.
It is.
I'd love you to.
Well, I put that in because it's something that I dealt with and I was like looking at, and when I start going into things, I go into my own intuition, my own truth, but I check in with my team and I get my guys to feed back to me certain things. And they said to me, how many times, Louise, even before you met Heather, even during the times that you've been doing things together, you've heard people say to you, or you have done it yourself, where you have stepped into something where there's been this blind faith required of you. Blind faith. Don't question, just believe. And I find that rife, unfortunately, and amongst a lot of groups that I encountered on my journey in the Lightworker community. And I don't like calling it the Lightworker community anymore, so I prefer to call you workers of light, because you work with the light, yeah? So that's my own definition. But a lot of the teachings that came in, that I personally believe were birthed out of the CIA.
CIA introduced New Age, guru worship terminology, light worker community terminology, and purpose to group the seers, the channelers,
Those who are sensitive.
Those who are sensitives together to find out, in actual fact, what we knew and how they could infiltrate.
Because what they would do is they would gather people together of a certain ilk, and then they would begin to feed certain information. Where did they get that information? It came to them from somewhere else. Where did that somewhere else come from? It was draconian influence. It was outside influence.
We did say draconian, Draco influence.
Or reptilian. But what was happening at higher ranks, or higher echelons within the government, is they were exchanging things. So it was a case of like, we'll give you this technology, you let us have free way with what's going on. And so one of the ways they could find out who was waking up in the human species was to create these groups where people like you and I, who have abilities to tap in, would gather together and we would share knowledge. And what would happen is there would be people there that would feed it back. So always keep in mind that perhaps what is coming forward is not always accurate. And we challenge you and we invite you to check in with what we teach, what we say, because this is our truth. It doesn't have to be yours.
So the question is, are you truly spiritually empowered? As we said, are you unsullied and free from bondage? Revered and equipped with the ability to enact the divine calling within your life? Are you emancipated and unearthly in your connections to what surrounds you? If you consider yourself spiritual, how do you see yourself and why? Questions, more questions for self.
And again, these are questions we ask ourselves, and we've come up with some extensive replies for ourselves, and it changes time and time again.
So we also ask ourselves what spiritual means to each of us, and Lou has her own version of that. We had it nicely written down in our notes, which hasn't appeared on our laptop today, so we will be just living. Great challenge.
For me, spiritual is not what you get from what the dictionary told us. Sacred and revered and to do with the divine night church and all the rest of it, or some sort of religious way of being it. To me, being spiritual is having an awareness within myself of who I am, where my connection is. Because in reality, I can't expect you to call me spiritual, and I can't call you spiritual, because that's putting a label on you. But when you go inward and you sit within the divine, as I've done this, I've sat there and I've gone in and I've felt, where is my divine connection? And at first I felt it here in the solar plex region, and then I felt it more up in the high heart area, in the thymus area. And I suddenly realized what was happening was I was connecting with that divine nature, with that divine energy. And for me, that is the spiritual part of me. That spiritual part, that part of me that bypasses the human logic, that bypasses the human, but in connecting to that divine, allows me to be just as human as I need to be in the moment of my existence.
Thank you, my love. For me, it's simply a deep knowing connection of my divinity within that's connected to the divine creator, whatever that might be. It's a feeling and it's a knowing. And I know very well that when I allow my human egoic self to interfere with that, the blinds come down on that blinding, beautiful, loving, honouring light of truth. And that divine connection also enables me connection to the God spark that sits within my energy. Sits within my energy steadfastly regardless of whatever I choose to do or say. It is always there, but it's up to me to enact the acknowledgement of that, to allow that follow through. And that, you know, if someone was to ask me again tomorrow, I may give a different type of an explanation how it is for me. And it'll be personal to each and every one. But it is another invite to ask yourself what that is for you. That was quick.
It always is.
Oh, here's that topic. Spiritual bypassing. Well, you know, I woke up in the middle of the night 5 days ago and I went, why are we talking about this? I want to talk about something else. But this is it. We're talking about spiritual empowerment versus spiritual bypassing. So what is the antithesis of spiritual empowerment?
Well, in my own opinion, it would be completely opposite to what we have just been speaking about. So if we're talking about spiritual and empowerment, which is coming into the awareness that really nobody can give you any empowerment, you are your self-empowered being, the antithesis, or the opposite of that, is the spiritual bypass. It's the phenomena where we all are very guilty. In fact, Sophia, who is very close to me at this moment, I can feel it coming through, actually said to us that every single person is guilty of spiritual bypass.
I've done it. I know I've done it.
And every single person must have an awareness that they have passed over opportunity after opportunity to actually assist people because they felt disempowered themselves but didn't want to admit it, because they didn't have the knowledge or the understanding but didn't want to admit it. And so they were, in many ways you could say, they gaslit, or they turned the conversation away from what was going on at hand to something else that they could control the conversation with.
Or offered a platitude of positive affirmations to help that person get out of their depressive hole, rather than assisting and standing alongside that person who was really struggling with some severe issues at the time. The platitudes that are given, which are not platitudes of compassion, but platitudes of bypassing. And this is the sort of thing that can really demoralise people, particularly at this most historic juncture on our planet, where there are so many people who have been down those rabbit holes very deeply and come back up and they're going, WTF, I need assistance. We need to be there in compassion. It's not a requirement that we are there to offer tools and assistance, but at least compassion. And if we can't assist these people, including assisting each other, we pass them on to somebody who can. And there's going to be a lot more of this happening on our planet at this time.
And I think we can all say that we've all experienced this to some degree, manner or form. And I think we also can agree, at least I know that we agree, that it's getting down and dirty at times when this sort of comes up in your face. Before you bypass, get real, get dirty, get in the face and get going with what the person's going through. And
Not ignoring
it.
So, a little more on spiritual bypassing. The overzealous positive individual. Love and light, it's all going to be okay, the universe says it's all this and that. And that person is, you know, in the depths of possible suicidal fear, who knows? A very positive individual can be, overzealous positive individual can be one who is spiritual bypassing. And you may know these people, you may have done it yourself, if you're asking yourself the questions on how you are, as we have done also. So there's no awareness of the inner turmoil of the other individual. They only see the outcome that they believe should happen. So if we're doing that to somebody, then we want our agenda to be imposed on them. We don't want to be knowing what's really happening with them. Maybe we feel inadequate, or maybe it's stirring up some of that stuff within our own energy that we have never dealt with or don't want to deal with. You know.
Absolutely. I mean, as the slide changes, how many of us in our life, we've sort of experienced something and somebody's turned around and says, oh, what does Louise Reiss say about that? You know, and I know that she's got some awesome books out there, so I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but, you know, there's times where it's like, I've broken my foot, and it's not because I wasn't watching where I was going and I need to learn something or I need a rest or something like that. It's I was in a car accident.
Sometimes shit happens.
You know, and we just need to be aware and conscious of what's happening within the other person's life. If we don't know, it's it, pass them forward.
So,
energetic sabotage.
You go for it, girl.
How many of us have ever had the feeling or awareness that we've been sabotaged energetically? Okay, 5 of us. Cool! But how many of us have gone into a family situation, a friend situation, a loved one situation, best friend situation, and you've poured your heart out because you have just been brimming to overflowing of this new concept, this idea, this suddenly that you've got this epiphany or something, and they've come in and they've got, are you sure? Seriously? No, come on. Have you thought about it logically now? And you've gone from up here and then they've come back and they say, look, you know, I'm sorry I said that to you, but you know, really, it's for your own good. You're biting off more than you can chew. That is energetic sabotage. That is bypassing at a very, 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 very emotional level.
Some people that do this will do it under the guise of being spiritual, offering information, offering guidance, and that's just the way it is. And it's a covering over as well as a bypassing. So should we move on?
I found Angel in this, and I loved it, just like in the power. So that's why there's so many of it.
Using intuition.
Absolutely.
So have you experienced what we've just talked about? Some of you kind of experienced that yourself. And the intuition one, now that's an interesting one.
It is. How many of us, again, in fact, you handle this one. I just spoke.
Well, we are talking about spiritual bypassing, and like I said, I woke up 5 days ago in the middle of the night. Why are we talking about this? Because I was nervous. Because it's not always easy to talk about things that people don't want to hear about, okay? But that's the sort of thing that Lou and I do anyway, you know. We take self-responsibility for our own stuff in our life, and we're quite happy to do that, so we're going to be continuing to share from the heart, and you take what resonates. So, have you ever been in a situation where somebody says, look, I'm just getting that you need to, and they come supposedly from your intuition, but it's fake intuition. It's fake intuition. Whoops, what happened there? She came too soon, that woman. It's fake intuition, and it doesn't resonate with you, but this person's presented it to you. It's very important that you listen to your own knowing, and it doesn't matter what sort of dark time you're going through, how tumultuous your life is. You have the ability to tap into your own inner knowing and your own true intuition and decide what's off and what's okay, and to walk away from any guidance that does not resonate with your own intuition and your own knowing.
Absolutely.
You're waving your hands up over there.
No. All right. Okay, let's go. There we go.
So at any point now, we're going to be moving into some channel information. And those of you who are astute will see the shifts and changes happening, but this is my favourite comedian. She was not only a comedian, she was a very, very wise woman and a very wise businesswoman. I have an everyday religion that works for me. Love yourself first and everything else falls into line. Lucy Orpel. She started off as a silent movie star, but she was never silent on screen. She was always cracking jokes. She was gorgeous and beautiful, and they just wanted her to shut her mouth and be gorgeous and beautiful, okay? And she couldn't, so she went into the comedy TV arena and was very successful, speaking her truth and making people laugh. So without further ado, we're going to continue on now and bring through some channel communication from our friend Safita. And I have no idea
What time are we on?
what he's going to be bringing forward at this time.
We're about 25.
Awesome, that is fantastic. We timed it well. Thank you.
Did you want a chair?
No, I am very well. I have two strong legs to stand on. Greetings, everybody. I am that I am. I am Safita. There are those of you who may have heard of me under the auspicious name of Saint Germain. But today I am Safita, and that is who I speak, and that is the name I call myself through this one. It is wonderful to see that many of you are awakened. You're in a place of great learning. You're in a place of being where you are beginning to ascertain for yourself what resonates and what does not. You are in a place, oh, let's get over it, yes? Let's get real. Where are you at in this time, dear ones? In this moment, your growth has been shaken. It has been, shall we say, earthquake. Many things have happened in this particular time that have caused you to question, caused you to look upon the very truths of your life, and you have said, but I thought. But what happened? Why has this occurred? Where is the love? Where is the divine? Where is what we were promised? Where are they that are supposed to be the leaders of this time? Am I not looking upon it? Have I not come into the room where you have taken time for yourself over this period to enhance, to stabilize, to educate? Because, dear ones, this is your moment of expansion. If you thought I was going to talk about expanding your spirituality, I am, but I'm not. If you thought I was going to speak about who you are as the great energy beings, I am not, but perhaps I will. I am more interested in that which is within each one of you right now, which is the divine spark of connection. It is that voice within you that has been directing your steps for the last, for some of you, probably 4 decades. For some of you, 3 weeks. But you have responded. You have come into your alignment. But what is this alignment? This alignment is not just a spiritual awakening. Ding, 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 smell the coffee. Might have flat, right? No, I'll have a plunger. I do try to get a little bit of humor, so if it's funny, you may laugh. If it's not, do not throw eggs. But what has happened is there's also come into the spiritual time, into the spiritual communities, lackadaisicalness. She'll be right. Now, I brought through a message like this not so long ago. In your years, probably 5 or 6 years ago. And I warned against it. I said, do not sit on your laurels. Do not get comfortable. Do not allow yourself to step into that realm that says it's going to be okay, because it is not. In 2018, I told those that were in my community that connect with me, I said, be prepared for what is coming. Something is about to birth on your planet that is going to shake you. Everybody thought that I was talking about the Americas, and I wasn't. There have been multiple messages over time by many great beings, energies, assisting humanity, bringing them to a place, bringing them to an awareness. And I see so many have woken, so many have opened their eyes, but you're still, in many cases, asleep. And it's not so much that we need to waken you and rattle your cage, but it's more a case that you need to waken yourselves. You need to become aware, dear ones. And I'm using very hard words. You need, instead of love and blessings, because that time is over. How many of you, and I'm going to ask a very serious question, how many of you have in the last 6 months felt a battle going on around you personally at times, in the energies, and you are the victor's prize? Whoever wins the battle somehow gets you. It's almost as if I may use this terminology, there is a battle for your soul. And you're being pulled one way or the other. You're hearing this news and then you're hearing this news. You're hearing this teaching and then you're hearing that teaching. And what is right and what is wrong? Who's to be listened to and who's not? And should I just forget everything, bury my crystals, burn my books, and go live in a desert island somewhere where nobody can reach me? Believe me, we'll still find you. But in many ways, I'm going to say yes. Metaphorically speaking, reinvent who you are. What do I mean by that? Ask yourself the questions. Who am I? Who am I in this moment? Why am I here in this moment? What is it that I am doing in this moment that is assisting humanity long term? Am I taking space by just being here? Or am I actively involved in all that is going on? I'm going to throw something out to you. How many of you know this statement? I'm hoping at least one person's heard it. As above, so below. Yes? At least one person. Oh, yes, I'm in the right place. What if I was to tell you that that was created many, many years ago as a statement to deflect you, to keep you from truly seeing what was going on? Because let's look at it logically. If there's a warfare in the heavens or in the space around us, in the void, then it makes sense that humanity is at war with each other, right? Makes sense. So above, so below. But what if I was to tell you that that was given to you to keep you from actually seeing the beauty and the strength and the camaraderie and the unification that is actually occurring on this planet? How many of you have seen that? No? Yes. How many of you have been fixated on the separation that's been happening? Caught up in it, whether you want to or not. And that, my friends, that separation, that fixation is the so above, so beneath. But the reality is that there is a far stronger move and a far stronger energy sway of unification occurring out there. And it is replicating here. And in that way, you are mimicking, which is good. But not many of you are seeing it. So I'm here today to encourage you. Encourage you to go within. Encourage you to go within your own definitive knowing of self. For your signature, your marker of origin, the divine connection, is speaking to you. Within the galactics, of which I have a few friends, Ashtar, some Lyrans, great councils. Do you like it when people name drop? It's a bit irritating, isn't it? Very human. But that's what happens when people come together. But what I'm sensing is that there is an evolvement happening. What I'm seeing is people are beginning to rise in their own consciousness. Not ready to take somebody else's point of view. Not ready to take somebody else's dogma, belief systems. Before they have